Hey guys, Godfather of Anxiety here. I just wanted to make a really short video today about the importance of labeling our anxiety conditions and letting them happen. This is so important as far as the road to recovery. And it's something that is very counterintuitive to those of us who experience these anxiety conditions. And it's just really important. I think that the first 3 years that I had panic attacks, I did not know not to fight them. Um, and when you fight a panic attack, it just increases the severity, the intensity, and the duration of it, guys. So, and it's like this with many aspects of these anxiety spectrum conditions. And I'll just go through some different things where it's so important to label and to let it happen. In other words, don't react or especially overreact to what's going on. And I'll give you specific instances here where it's really important. Since I've already touched on panic attacks, let's start with that. So panic attacks, for those of you who aren't familiar, are maybe some of the scariest things that'll ever happen to you in your life, because it's almost like a death simulation by your body. So it's a massive dump of adrenaline. Generally, the feelings when you're having a panic attack, some people have chest pain, like the 3 o'clock in the morning phone call chest pain. For me, the impending doom feeling, the feeling that you are dying right then, was one of the biggest aspects of a panic attack and scariest. And also, simultaneously, while you feel like you're definitely dying right then, you start to detach from your surroundings. So you experience severe or intense derealization and this, disconnection from your environment. And it's unbelievably frightening. So what I'm telling you guys is, once you've had one of these and you realize that you're not going to die from it. And again, guys, medication, let me say here, always go and see a mental health professional. Okay. That's where this road should start. If once you realize, okay, there's something going on with anxiety here, get to a mental health professional. It will expedite your road to recovery. So let's get that out of the way. But so you have a panic attack, the first time you have it, you won't know what it is, and it'll scare you to death. But afterwards, after the dust settles and you realize that it must have been a panic attack, so this will give you information to use for that next panic attack that you have. And again, you might need to take medication to get yourself out of fight or flight if you're stuck in fight or flight, which you very easily could be. But what you want to do, even if you've started taking medication, this is part of recovery. You will have at least the start of panic attacks, and you'll probably experience panic attacks even after you're on medication, especially when you have bad days. So when it happens, you have to recognize what it is. And this just recently happened to me. It happened to me a little over a week ago while I was driving, guys. And that's a scary time for a panic attack to happen. But the fact that I know what to do and how not to react, as soon as it happens, I go, I'm having a panic attack. So I know what it is. It's not death. It's not, and if you need little things to help you realize that you're not dying, because I know for some people, panic attacks, a big component of it is pain, like chest pain and stuff, and breathlessness. But if you want to know if you're dying or not, do you feel any pain at all? Guys, we're not just going to fade out, okay? So my wife was genius at this. She would ask me that question. Are you in pain? Does it hurt? And then she would tell me, it's a panic attack. And sometimes, because your rational brain doesn't work very well when you're in fight or flight. So, but this is how you get past these things. So when you start to have a panic attack, label it as such. Hopefully you're not driving like I was, because it makes it more difficult. It complicates things, but I still had to do it. You have to just label it and let it happen. Don't fight it. Don't try to find a safe place. That's another big thing we do, guys. That's feeding this falsehood that you're really in a life or death situation, right? Because it's your mind lying to you that you're in a life and death situation, a fight or flight situation, when you're not. And your body goes, okay, here's a bunch of adrenaline to, fight off a bear, or, to, run away from danger. And there's no danger to run away from. So you have to label it and let a panic attack happen. Now let's go with intrusive thought OCD, right? Because this is going to happen. If you have bad anxiety, even if intrusive thought OCD is not your primary diagnosis, it will be probably a secondary symptom. It is with a lot of people. I have several people that I know that have experienced this at least episodically. And this is really important to know in order to get past it. Again, when you start having these aberrant thoughts that you would never normally have, and they're playing on a loop, do not fight them. When you fight them, like you do normal bad thoughts and temptation, which is the right thing to do, again, if you're thinking about stealing something, or, any behavior that is not morally acceptable, you fight those thoughts, but not intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts are thoughts that your mind is just spinning out there to keep you in fight or flight and to keep you in that survival mode. And your mind knows what bothers you, so guess what they're going to be? Things that bother you the most. They may include violence or sexual things. It's just going to be things that upset you the most. So it's really hard. Just like with panic attacks, it's really hard not to react or overreact to these things, right? Because they're awful. And these aren't thoughts you'll ever normally have. So the tendency is to be disgusted and shocked and try to fight them. But instead, what you need to do is you need to label it as intrusive thought OCD. You need to label it and let it happen. And this is really hard. And again, medication, definitely see a mental health professional, but label it and let it happen. And you will notice, guys, especially maybe with the help of medicine, maybe not, maybe on your own, the less attention you pay to it and the less you let it bother you, the more infrequent the thoughts will play and the less intense, aberrant, and disgusting they'll be. Because your mind will start to realize this is not being successful in keeping you in fight or flight. Because you're not having that adrenaline response. You're not getting really bothered by it. So there's two instances. So you got panic attacks, intrusive thoughts. Now, this is really important with health anxiety. Guys, we go through as imperfect humans, we go through the aging process. That is a fact. We're going to have maladies. We're going to have ailments. We're going to have pains, aches. It's really important to label pains as just the pain and let them be the pain. Don't go down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out every possible causation of, a physical symptom. I'm in my 50s now, so, you wake up sometimes, you have some aches and pains. I don't I don't tell myself, well, my back is hurting, there's a tumor on my spine maybe, or, I have chest pain, so it's a heart attack. Listen, if you have persistent chest pain, get to a doctor. Definitely, whether it could be angina, it could be, you know, a blocked artery, it could be anything. And I'm not telling you to ignore symptoms, but what I'm telling you is you cannot overreact to them. You cannot overreact to them. And once your mind gets locked in fight or flight and health anxiety develops, you will have a tendency to notice. I just did a video on nervous system hypersensitivity. You will have a tendency to notice every little tiny, function that goes on in your body. You'll feel the food move through your digestive system. You'll feel every muscle twitch. You'll feel everything. And this makes it really hard to ignore and label things. But a lot of this, and for things that you can't just label, what's really important is you ignore this stuff. Once you've been checked out by a doctor and there's nothing serious wrong, whether it's a headache, because stress will cause headaches, whatever it is, you got to just say, okay, just let it happen. Guys, don't fight it. Certainly don't catastrophize it. And then finally, when we get to like generalized anxiety, a lot of racing thoughts, right? And that process of going through racing thoughts, you'll start off, maybe you just feel a little, anxious, a little uncomfortable, It's kind of tough to describe, but kind of like if you were walking in a crowd of unfamiliar people, you're a little uncomfortable. You're on guard. You're not comfortable just being around a bunch of strangers, right? So maybe the feeling you wake up in the morning, it just starts like that, but then it intensifies. And what you have to do early on in that process, when you wake up feeling that way, guys, that's anxiety, right? Don't let it just keep going and going and going and catastrophize it into, because that's what happens here. I know that's what happens to all of us. We feel different than we should. We focus on it, and then it intensifies these feelings, right? Yeah, and you start to have the dizziness. You feel breathless. Maybe you feel like you're choking, right, guys? These are all things that happen when we have generalized anxiety disorder. It's not fun. But, if you've been checked out recently and, just trust the doctors. Serious health illnesses and issues, they declare themselves, guys. You're not left in limbo with them. And the symptoms are physical. You don't see people with these really serious illnesses, sitting there thinking about their illness, right? They just are dealing with the pain, whether it's, you talk about something like cancer or, even something, maybe that's less, maybe serious, could be less serious than that, but it has real symptoms every day, rheumatoid arthritis, whatever you want to say, but you just feel the pain. You don't sit there and wonder, and try to do some mental deep dive on what else it could be going on. And, we do have, because we are intelligent and analytical people, we do like answers. And we also tend to be control freaks. So this is fighting a natural tendency. But we need to use our intelligence to realize, hey, I've been down this road before and I know where this leads. This isn't something that's going to, I'm not going to find that I have some terrible illness. Instead, I'm going to ruin the life and the time that I have now worrying about having some terrible illness. So, guys, when these uncomfortable feelings and sensations happen, label them for what they are. Once you know it's not a real, serious physical health issue, anxiety can cause any number of symptoms. It's almost limitless, the symptoms anxiety can cause. So once you realize it's anxiety, label it as anxiety, let it happen, whether it's panic attacks, whether it's intrusive thoughts, whether it's racing thoughts. Label these things and let them happen. It's going to be instrumental in getting better from these various anxiety conditions, along with cognitive behavioral therapy and exposure therapy to prove that, these thoughts are are not real, that this is a creation by your mind in order to keep you in fight or flight. So that's about all I want to say for this video. Guys, thank you so much for the engagement. I love the comments. I love the community that we're creating here. Keep them coming. If you know anybody who's experiencing any of the anxiety spectrum conditions, have them take a look at the videos. They can probably find something that will help them to at least identify what's going on, right? So, but thanks so much. And until my next video, take care.